You thought other people exhausted you, but most of the time, your nervous system exhausted itself watching them. You noticed tone changes before arguments. You felt tension before a silence broke, and you caught mood shifts long before anyone admitted something was wrong. Then, you started calling that being emotionally aware. This video is about the difference between deep perception and lifelong emotional monitoring, and why confusing the two quietly drains your entire body. Imagine walking into a room, carrying a drink you barely touch. Someone laughs a little too loudly near the kitchen. Another person answers a question half a second too late. You sit down, but your body never fully sits down. Part of you is already tracking. Who feels irritated? Who is pretending? And who might suddenly change mood? Everyone else seems completely relaxed. Meanwhile, you are having two experiences at once. The conversation happening outside you, and the heavy emotional calculations running underneath it. You call it intuition, because that sounds better than admitting you never stopped scanning. By the end of this video, you will understand why social interaction feels so physically expensive, why high sensitivity is so often mixed with hypervigilance, and why some people mistake survival patterns for personality. The goal here is not to pathologize you. It is to finally describe what has actually been happening. If you have ever left a completely normal interaction, feeling strangely heavy afterward, stay with this carefully, because most people enter a room and simply arrive. You enter a room and immediately start reading it. Most people enter a room and just settle in. But you enter a room and start monitoring. Imagine walking into a dinner party, a workplace, or a family gathering. Instantly, your eyes notice someone avoiding eye contact. You catch a forced laughter in the corner, or feel the sudden tension that follows a heavy silence. Your brain registers the smallest physical details. The way someone slowly loosens their jacket, the person standing a little too close to the exit. You find yourself scanning every single face before you even choose a place to sit. Before anyone speaks, you aren't consciously thinking or analyzing in that moment. It happens automatically. Your brain simply prioritizes emotional and sensory signals before you even participate in the social space. You were reading the room while everyone else was still choosing a seat. The cost of this is that you never truly arrive relaxed. Even in the calmest environments, your mind carries a low-level cognitive load. A quiet line keeps running through your head. Something feels off here. You probably thought this was just a personality trait, but it's not. It is the constant, unyielding behavior of your nervous system. People think your exhaustion comes from caring too much, but most of it comes from monitoring too much. During ordinary conversations, your mind silently registers a delayed reply. You catch a tiny, split-second change in their tone of voice. Your eyes fixate on their facial reaction the moment you finish a joke, and you immediately replay your own sentence in your head right after saying it. You find yourself staring, checking whether their smile actually reached their eyes. You reread a text message over and over before opening it again. Your nervous system is constantly predicting rejection, tension, emotional shifts, and social instability. It has become an automatic pattern mapping machine. Because of this, social interaction becomes hard labor, even when absolutely nothing bad happens. You leave completely ordinary conversations mentally overstimulated. A question keeps looping in your mind. Did their tone change just now? You call other people draining, but half the time you're draining yourself. Your body stayed alert long after the conversation became safe. Now you understand where the exhaustion comes from. But where did all this monitoring actually start? You thought you were emotionally mature early, but sometimes you were just emotionally careful. Think back to your childhood. It's the moment you could hear footsteps coming down the hallway and instantly predict what kind of mood you were about to deal with. You knew dinner would be tense before anyone spoke. You watched adults' facial expressions carefully, becoming quiet the exact second the energy shifted. Your mind automatically registered the smallest sensory details: the sound of cabinet doors closing, the heavy silence before an argument, the habit of waiting and hesitating just for a few seconds before entering a room. An unpredictable emotional environment trains the nervous system to scan for danger before it fully appears. Pattern detection becomes survival efficiency. Children do not become hyper-aware for no reason. The cost is that you grow into adulthood unable to fully stop monitoring. Rest becomes incredibly difficult, even when you are in a perfectly safe environment. A quiet thought kept running through that child's mind. I needed to know what mood they were in first. Your nervous system learned prediction before it learned relaxation. You probably thought this deep sensitivity was just who you are. You called it your intuition, didn't you? And here is the uncomfortable part. Some of your strongest intuition, it was built from fear. That is why, as an adult, you constantly rehearse conversations in your head. You predict conflict before even texting someone back. You scan for emotional shifts every single time the room goes silent. And you feel a strange, sudden sense of relief when plans get canceled. Look at the micro behaviors. Checking the exact timing of a message over and over. Preparing explanations in your mind before anyone even accuses you of anything. Your brain mistakes anticipation for control. Monitoring only creates a temporary feeling of safety. The cost is that you never fully, emotionally unclench. Even peace feels temporary. A quiet thought keeps running through your head. If I can predict it early, maybe it won't hurt as much. You called it calmness, but sometimes it was constant preparation. Your intuition became impressive because your nervous system never believed it was safe to stop scanning. This is where most people simplify the story. You are not imagining everything, and you are not accurate about everything. There are times when your perception is incredibly sharp. You sensed a relationship shifting early. You detected resentment before a conflict even started. You recognized fake enthusiasm, and you knew someone was struggling long before they admitted it. But there are also moments when silence is completely harmless. A delayed reply means absolutely nothing. And the tension you feel? It was just projected from your own internal anxiety. High sensitivity helps you detect signals, but anxious prediction distorts how you interpret them. Both can exist. The cost is that you constantly struggle to separate true perception from fear-based anticipation. A quiet conflict plays out in your mind. Not everything I sense is wrong, but not everything I sense is true either. Sensitivity without self-awareness turns perception into projection. You now see the trap clearly. But how do you finally put down your guard and find real peace? You were never weak for feeling overwhelmed. The truth is, you were overloaded for too long. Think about the silence after a long social event. The quiet inside your car on the drive home. It's the moment you finally relax, knowing that right now, nobody needs anything from you. Your body finally unclenches after hours of staying alert. You might lie down, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversations that just happened. But then, a physical lightness sets in, because you are finally alone. Your nervous system only exits its predictive mode when it perceives absolute safety. Solitude becomes recovery, not rejection. You spent years calling yourself too much, difficult, an overthinker. You never recognized that your body was simply carrying a chronic emotional alertness. A quiet thought slowly surfaces. I'm tired of monitoring everything. Peace felt unfamiliar. The goal was never to become less sensitive. You do not need to become less aware. You just need moments where awareness is no longer required. Do you remember the first time you realized you had this trait? Maybe the problem was never that you felt too much. Maybe your body just never learned when it was finally allowed to stop paying attention. You called yourself sensitive because nobody gave you language for chronic emotional alertness. There is a difference. Some people leave conversations and immediately move on. You leave conversations still carrying the room inside your body an hour later. That is the group this video was speaking to. You were not weak for scanning the room. You were tired from never leaving it internally. Think about a moment when you realized your body was reacting before your mind had caught up yet. Maybe it was a silence that suddenly felt heavy, a text message that changed in tone, or a room that looked calm while your chest tightened anyway. Leave that moment in the comments. Not the dramatic version, the small one you almost ignored. Those are usually the real ones. If these videos help you put accurate language around experiences you spent years misnaming, you can stay here for the next one. Some people hear words first. You learned to hear tension first. And after enough years, your body stopped waiting for proof.